Good morning, St. Francis. It is Tuesday, June the 29th, 2021. It is Tuesday of the 13th week in Ordinary Time, but more importantly, it is the solemnity of Saints Peter and Paul. It is the second of the three great summer solemnities that we celebrate in our liturgical year. Coming to you this morning from the interior of our church. Haven't been in here in a while, and so it is way too hot outside, so I decided to come inside, and I also got my habit washed. Today's Gospels, today's readings and today's Gospel are all unique to Peter and Paul. Again, they had separate feast days until the reform of the calendar, and then they were all combined into one on this day. So again, to join them together as kind of two of the important people at the beginning of the Christian movement, at the beginning of Christianity. In the first reading, we have Peter and James going up to the temple and healing the man who has been paralyzed, and doing it solely by the name of Jesus. And again, neither silver nor gold have I, but in the name of Jesus the Nazarene, I command you, get up and walk. And the man is able to walk, to the astounding reception of all the people who were around watching this happen. In the second reading, Paul talks about himself, because he usually does talk about himself a lot. But again, how he came to his mission, why he's come to his mission, what his mission is supposed to accomplish, and again, hoping that others will be able to accomplish their mission in spreading the gospel and living the gospel in their own lives. In the gospel, we hear the wonderful passage after the post-resurrection passage in John's gospel, where Peter's threefold denial is reconciled by a threefold proclamation of love for Jesus. That is so important for us to consider perhaps today. A reconciliation that happens after something that is tragic, that is awful, that could break a friendship, that could show disobedience or horrendous activity before God, is reconciled not with Peter having to do penance, not with Peter having to be chastised, not with Peter having to be embarrassed or set apart or set out, but simply by an acclamation and affirmation of love. That is all that Jesus asks. And Peter doesn't even know what's happening in this reconciliation that is going on. To each of these acclamations of love, though, it is not just about Jesus. It is about then how we are to live and what it means to live as believers in this world, which means to live for each other. A faith that is just lived for God alone and just God alone, without any kind of expression of love for one another, is really not faith. It is sort of kind of perhaps a superstition or an egotism, or working basically to better ourselves before God, perhaps even worse, over and above others. Jesus asks Peter to feed his sheep, to tend his sheep, to feed his lambs, because that is what all of us are called to do who are believers in this world. To feed each other, to nourish each other, support each other, to walk with each other, journey with each other, to tend to each other's needs, to be responsive, to be attentive. That's what it means to be apostles in this world, what it means to be disciples, what it means to be people who believe that Christ is indeed risen. Our human history is changed forever, and what was considered a dead end, what was considered death and darkness, has been turned into glorious and life-giving light. And may the Lord give you peace.